now getting into the next phase of our program, which is the cocktail and just the time to interact. Make sure that you get to know somebody and just find out more about what they're doing as we interact. Sandra, would you like to just call us and tell us how to proceed?
At about 9 hours, I said 9:30 in particular because I know the Zambian time. So 9 hours, let's be Kaunda Square. The venue again?
What was the venue again?
Around the market area. I do believe that we are going to have
Stage one.
stage one. I do believe we are going to have a public address system that would go a little bit further to reach out everybody in case we are lost, but it is going to be around the market area. So I will not stand between you.
Are present here, and indeed even out there, like my colleague had mentioned, the Trade Kings. I believe the memory is still fresh when we had cholera in our communities. And I'm sure if we manage this waste properly, I think the issue of diseases and water pollution will be a thing of the past. I believe waste concerns every one of us, and I think we need to tackle it. Thank you.
Thank you. I'll now call upon the Lucy Interim Coordinator, Mr. Hara, to just give us a few remarks as we transcend to our cocktail.
Thank you very much, Mr. Kwenta. So I just want to thank everybody of you for having made time to be with us this evening, taking the time out of your busy schedules. I know it's late in the day, but I believe we also had very interesting conversations this evening. I want to thank the panel of discussants, Zema, and I should mention we had a tough time getting all of you, Mr. Suman. Thank God you came through. Chair for the KSC, Mr. Kachikoti, Lafat, Silanga Cement, sorry, I apologize for that. Sunshine Group as well, and our very good friend from the private sector who's been innovative in the app that has been introduced. Now, I want to speak a little bit about the app itself. We discovered this gentleman during a conference we had on, what was it called again? Nature-based solutions, and this is where he had presented. And it's quite an interesting one. It's a pity we didn't have a lot of time to go into it, but I believe it can help go a long way into improving the outlook of solid waste management in our city. We called this particular forum basically because we wanted to draw lessons from the various players, and as you could see from the composition of the panel, we really endeavored to have a blend. Importantly, involve the community leaders themselves. A lot of discussion was centered around awareness, creating awareness from the grassroots, from the communities, stretching all the way to the extended producer responsibility, which is really high level. But there are very tiny steps you can take within our lives to ensure that we improve the outlook of our city and country at large. Lusaka City is very interesting and albeit deceiving city. I'll give a story just a month ago.
We've learned a lot of what's happening, and thank you so much, Lucy, for bringing us here. We know that solid waste indeed is a big problem. 1,000 tons per day. Translating that into per year, that's a lot. We're talking about a lot of tons. Out of that, less than 30% ends up at Chunga Dam site. And we have also understood that the Lusaka population is 3 million, as we are awaiting for the official census. And we have also learned that this poor management of solid waste is leading to contamination of groundwater, soil, air pollution by open air burning, and also leading to epidemics. As a result of that, this calls for all of us to act on this. And we have learned that our local authority has established a solid waste management company to spearhead this paradigm shift. Because we have always looked at cradle to grave. Like you generate the waste, you have to throw it. But now, with the introduction of the green economy, we're talking about cradle to cradle. We try as much as possible that whatever waste that we generate turns it into a resource and then we reuse it. Because of that, we have heard about the 3 R's. Please, can we help each other? I would like to introduce a 4th R to all of us. There is also a 4th R called ROT. ROT, R-O-T. Biodegradable stuff, rot it, compost it, and use it as compost manure. So, with the various initiatives that are being done by Sunshine, which is actually a youth organization, doing a lot of awareness raising. Please keep up with the good works. And we've also heard about Chilanga Cement. Initially, I thought Chilanga Cement was just there to produce cement, but I'm glad that I've learned about the other good works that we're doing. And I'm also happy that we are able to also bring our hazardous waste to be incinerated from that end. Okay, so we have also learned from ZEMA. We learned about the fact that they are trying to see how best they can transfer the solid waste management aspect of it to the local authority, because currently there are some parts that they have to deal with, not knowing whether they will still continue to deal with the issues of licensing of waste disposal facilities. And we have also learned from ZEMA that the extended producer responsibility, I think we need to do something about it. And we have learned that they are actually trying to work around the financing mechanism of it, how they can collect the funds. My plea and my request as an individual is that please can we involve as many stakeholders as possible, so that afterwards, once it's implemented, we don't go back to say, no, actually we forgot this, because when you have stakeholders like this, you get ideas from various perspectives. So we have also learned about the fact that there's a lot that's happening, a lot of re-engineering happening under the Solid Waste Management Company, where they are we are in the process of setting up a waste-to-energy power plant. This is great news for Zambia. I've seen waste-to-energy power plants in some places, and they're able to generate as much as 50 megawatts of electricity. So let's see if this can also help us reduce on load shedding. I just saw on Facebook that we may be having some hours of load shedding very soon. And we have also learned that it's very critical that we involve the community, and our community leaders, we are very glad that you made it for this meeting, because you are key when it comes to behavioral change at community level. If we can't change the behavior at community level, we will continue receiving unsegregated waste at the disposal facilities, and it becomes complicated to deal with such if it comes in that form. So there's a lot that we have learned, and please, we should also remember that we should have the duty to report. Even ourselves, if you know you have done wrong with respect to solid waste, report yourself, if it's possible. So, yeah, I think this is just a summary of what has been discussed in here. Please, as we go out, let's all be ambassadors of proper, sustainable solid waste managers. And also, let's preach this message to whoever we meet. In church, please, let's take time to talk about this. In schools, whichever platform that you have, let's take time. It's all our responsibility. Please, it will be nice. Now, this is my comment.
Thank you for the additions.
One comment. It will be nice. It will be nice if there could be a follow-up to this conversation later next year, so that we track the progress of what has been promised to be happening in here. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Okay. Thank you so much, Evans, for that recap. Without much ado, I will at this time invite our representative from WWF, like David had said, WWF has supported this initiative and would like them to just give a few remarks, also in line with what he was
Yeah, I think I got a minute. Good evening, everyone. I hope we had a great time and first learned a lot and looking at opportunities in solid waste management. As WWF, we take this opportunity to first just congratulate everyone who's been here and more especially to a gentleman there who we found through a program called Patch Panda. So he was one of the key winners, and we want everyone to support him where possible with his app, because we believe it's the way to go. We appreciate that the council has got their own app, but nonetheless, there should be a difference between what the public is doing and what private sector is doing. And for us, the WWF, we believe by supporting individuals like him, that's the one we are going to maybe look at such problems such as solid waste management that we face today, and how then we can look on that and ensure that tomorrow Lusaka will be clean as we want it to be, and all other things that affect our environment. So that I say congratulations for making it through this meeting, and thank you very much.
Thank you so much. I'm failing in my duties. I would just want to get a few remarks from our community leaders before Mr. Arab comes in to officially close the session. I will get some remarks from Mr. Piri to give us just remarks on behalf of the community. More of a vote of thanks.
Thank you. First and foremost, I would like to thank the organizers of this forum. I'm sure waste concerns every one of us, and we are indeed excited. I think with most particularly the Chilanga Cement by coming up with the eco plant. I'm sure we're working hand in hand with our company, which is the Lusaka Integrated Waste Management Company, and indeed other companies.
Looking at issues of incentives, right? The community. So the app, you're able to find obviously the cycle centers which we put across Lusaka. And then again, it's about clean waste. So people are able to come, they're able to weigh the waste and they get incentives, right? So obviously partner people like WWF as well, they're able to assist us in this regard. So some of the incentives obviously include things like obviously money and iron and all this, so the idea is in the point. And for people who don't have obviously things like cell phones or like street keys, that can be benefit from some of these incentives. They're able to use obviously a card, where your name, basically your medical card. You go there, get for your card, get a photo for you, and then you're able to use a fingerprint as well to determine how many points you have. So that's exactly what we're looking into. So yeah, thank you, and then we intention
Okay, thank you. Thank you very much. I know how much Ulendo has transformed our traveling experience. So I'm very hopeful, even if he doesn't say anything else, just by thinking about how Ulendo has made my life easier, I'm hopeful. So the last point is we are here because of a partnership, the Lusaka Water Security Initiative. And under that, the possibility of the partnerships that we can create bilaterally in small groups to tackle it. There is power in numbers. And I want to end this discussion by, paying homage and a lot of thanks to WWF. WWF has partnered with GIZ and has partnered within the Lucy collaboration system, and have provided resources to enable these kinds of discussions to happen. And I think it's a worthwhile venture that private companies can take a look at, other organizations can take a look at. In numbers, we can facilitate these kinds of processes through the Lusaka Water Security Initiative. And thanks a lot to the Secretariat And let us give ourselves a big round of applause. Maroko pana. Maroko pana. Maroko pana. Maroko pana. Maroko pana. Yafafasa. 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 Yandela. Yandela. Ailenge. Ailenge. Ailenge.
Thank you very much. That's very
I would like- I would like
let's
to
give him a round of applause.
At this point, I will ask our panelists to check their seats. Probably still maintain yourself seats, the same seats since the seats have been taken up. I will.
Thank you very much. We're not going to start with the introduction of the panelists to save time. So I will ask each one of the panelists to introduce themselves when it's their time to speak, introduce their name, the organizations they are coming from, and then respond to the moderator's question. We are all here because Lusaka has a serious problem. And this problem is as old as Zambia itself. We are told, no, there used to be Chingola as the cleanest city, but progressively I think we've seen that we faced huge challenges with solid waste. When we come to Lusaka City currently is generating 1,000 metric tons of solid waste per day. 30% of which is properly collected and disposed of. If you go to the informal settlements where 70% of our people live, most of them poor, only 15% of that solid waste is properly collected and disposed of. What does this mean? This has meant that our critical resources such as groundwater is severely threatened. We see a rising rising problem of water pollution. We see epidemics, disease. We see flooding. All these are connected to the problem of solid waste. Fortunately, today we have a mix of experts from diverse backgrounds to share their unique insights and perspectives on what the situation is, but most importantly, what can we do about solid waste? What opportunities do we have? What instruments can we leverage? What resources, what capacities to deal decisively with this challenge of solid waste, particularly for Lusaka City? This is Takachikoti from Lusaka City Council, our local government, and the main shareholder of the solid waste management company. We hear of examples like Rwanda. You know, we are told Rwanda is very clean. They've managed to deal with their solid waste decisively. And we are told that example is brought about by the collaboration of the government, the private sector, and most importantly, the community. Are there any policy and legal instruments? What is the legal and policy environment in Zambia that can help us deal with such a challenge? And what incentives do we have currently, from your perspectives, that will really help us
with this problem.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So my name is Kachikoti Banda. I work for the Lusaka City Council as Assistant Director of Public Health. I'll start with the legal and policy framework. Yeah, in fact, I'll deal with legal, policy, and institutional framework. Then we'll conclude with the opportunities and especially what is in the offering for the greater city of Lusaka. So, first of all, we need to arise from the Constitution of Zambia. I think Article 147 has provided for functions of national government, provincial government, and local government, which is what we call devolved form of government. So, Part 2 of Article 147 of the Constitution of Zambia, in this case, number 2 of 2016, has provided what we call exclusive functions of local authorities. That entails that there is no any other institution that is mandated to manage solid waste other than the local authorities. So you can see this is enshrined in the Constitution on the shoulders of local authorities to ensure that there's the waste management services for the local people in that particular jurisdiction, in this case Lusaka. Now, we need to look at where we are coming from as a country, the colonial government, way back in the 1992, what kind of policies were there that guided our waste management. Of course, I think ZEMA, before that used to be ECZ, Environmental Council of Zambia, and then they used to manage municipal solid waste. We have the Public Health Act, which is a parent law, Cap 295 of public health in the city, water and sanitation, and some provisions there that we're using to manage waste, Environmental Management Act, State Instrument on Waste Management, regulations on waste management. But we want to appreciate that for the first time in the history of this country, we have a standalone principle act of parliament that exclusively deals with municipal solid waste, in this case the Solid Waste Regulation and Management Act number 20 of 2018. I don't know if you're with me. Okay, so
Are we with him? Yes.
I've plucked you from the Constitution of Zambia, Supreme Law of the land, and then we had subsidiary regulations. I think the first policy that we had was the National Conservation Strategy of 1985, which managed natural resources, the bit of provisions for waste management. And then we had the National Policy on Environment, 2004, I think, not 2007. So the government was trying to do something about waste, but we didn't have the Act of Parliament exclusively dealing with the sector until the advent of the Solid Waste Regulation and Management Act, which has recognized waste as a resource. I think the challenge that we've had in the country is looking at waste as waste. So that has been planted in our minds that when I finish eating my banana, the peel is waste, it's garbage, isn't it?
Yes.
So the moment it's implanted in our minds that it's garbage, then it's garbage, isn't it? But if you are going to see it as a resource, Zambians have realized, even here in Lusaka, you're going to see people aggregating waste. You've seen this in the Ring Road, in the Pedaban areas and the like. But here's the catch. We have the legal framework now, the Constitution and the Act of Parliament. Now, what kind of policies do we have? Okay, I've seen the National Policy on Environment is being reviewed. There are several policies that you can aggregate, but I want to dwell on the Zambia Vision 2030, which is a blueprint document that has provided a roadmap to the year 2030 that seeks to propel this country to a middle-income prosperous nation. But I can challenge you that that is nothing if we don't manage waste, because waste contributes to economic development, and also there's no country that is going to attract investment or tourists that will bring in forex if it's dirty. All right, so everybody's trekking to Rwanda because Rwanda or Kigali is clean, isn't it? So it's attracting foreign direct investment, and we need that here. So we need to put our house in order to ensure that the city of Lusaka is clean. But also, you rightly put it that poor waste management has several innumerable negative effects on public health, the community, social development, and also just the aestheticity of the city. So it can also chew into our resources in terms of service delivery. Instead of putting up parks, cleaning the other areas and the like, we have to collect garbage. And we are coming from the traditional collect, transport, and dump, isn't it? Recycling or reuse reduction has been elusive to us. Of course, we've had the informal sector trying to earn a living here and there. But then on the 19th of October, we launched the Lusaka Solid Waste Improvement Plan, which is a policy document that guides our action for the next, up to 2026, I think so. And we have highlighted what we can do with our internal resources, what we can do with the cooperating partners, and then what we can do with the multinational institutions in terms of capital investment in the waste management sector. I want to conclude by saying to you that pursuant to the Solid Waste Regulation and Management Act, the Lusaka City Council and Ministry of Finance created what we call the Lusaka Integrated Solid Waste Management Company, which is a company for the Lusaka City Council, just like Lusaka Water and the Sanitation Company. Hear me close, eh? Lusaka Water was born from Lusaka City Council, isn't it? Yes. For surprise. If I take you back, we used to have the water affairs department, eh? In the councils, eh? Yes. Yes. We used to have the water affairs department. And most of these government institutions are not paying bills, including government workers, most of these public institutions or communities or compounds, the nurses compounds, water was running here in, here out, leaking pipes, no investments, but water is a service. So utility companies or commercial utility companies were born, and now we've seen tremendous improvement, isn't it? Yes, we have. So in that sector, looking at the problem that has challenged us through the years, we have created a state enterprise. Lusaka Solid Waste Improvement Company is currently sitting opposite Taj Palmos Hotel. You'll be seeing the branding very soon. The idea is to enhance efficiency. The idea is to attract investment. The idea is to ensure that each and every Zambian who generates waste must pay for it, isn't it? Because we're thriving on three principles. Principle number one, the polluter pays principle. I cannot generate my waste and expect Mr. Nonde to pay for it. So we are spending money from your doorstep and collect it, transport it, and also manage it at Chunga. But then, who's bearing the cost? We have so many services that we need to deliver. We need to provide security in the city, we need to clean, we need to disinfect. Even just to provide parks and gardens for you, but we have to prioritize garbage collection because, like that reported, we are literally below 40% in terms of subscription rate. So the second principle that we have is, I said, polluter-pays principle number one. Then we also have full cost recovery. Then we have also the precautionary principle. But right now, very few Zambians living here want to pay for garbage. We have the mentality that no, the council is going to come and collect it. So the problem, first of all, is in the mind. There's a pothole that we need to mend in every Zambian. That's when you're going to see a cleaner city. Believe me, you can put a stretch of bins, people will still dump outside, isn't it? Yes, we still dump outside. So where is the problem? You can even have a truck waiting for you to put the garbage there or anything, but the problem keeps growing. But the good news is that the road ahead is clear now. We have a tremendous plan on the table, and I wish to also mention that we are actively pursuing in the procurement process now installation or construction of the first ever waste-to-energy plant in Zambia that will be built at Chunga. We want to generate heat and power or electricity after recycling. Okay, first of all, remember the principles of waste management, eh? Reduce, reuse, and recycle. Some social scientists have added some more, they think they want, but we'll leave that to social scientists. For us, we stick to the basics. Reduce, reuse, recycle. Okay, now there is a circular economy. Okay, there's a lot of talk about circular economy. We even have the Minister of Green Economy. Do you know what green economy means? But you've seen the ministry?
Yes.
Okay, let me debunk it for you. So, green economy just basically looks at the economy that is cognizant of the environment. As we grow the economy, we should not pollute the environment, isn't it? So, economic growth comes with natural resource use as your resources. So, if, for example, we are going to harvest more timber, how do we harvest and ensure that we don't harm the environment? Because waste management does also contributes to land pollution. Wherever waste is, you go back to your buckets where you put your waste, you see very few, first of all it will be dark or black, and very few plants will grow there, especially if there are chemicals. So we also have air pollution where we have seen in our compounds people are burning the waste. Why are they burning? They want to reduce the quantity so that they don't pay for it, isn't it? And even the new actors has actually provided very punitive measures for burning and burying of waste. Okay. Then we also have water pollution. This is why we are here. I think Lusaka Water, Madam, you are from Moscow. I think Lusaka Water, we've been talking about George Compound, where one of our boreholes is sitting, and people are dumping garbage there. So there's this back and forth. But we will solve the problem. But then collection and transportation and disposal is the Yogo way of doing things. Right now, we want to create jobs. We call them green jobs. Clean the city, but also create the jobs. After recycling, what remains we take to waste to energy plant. Heat it at around 800 degrees Celsius, turn the turbines, generate the power. And the same heat can also be used to clean the trucks that take the garbage into the plant. So I'm taking you now into what we call circular economy. Because now it's basically a linear economy, which has all these environmental liabilities. Blocked drainages, what. So the world has moved when we are crawling. So we need to stand up and start moving, if not running, because the Zambia Vision 2030, implemented through the 8th National Development Plan, is not going to be actualized if we don't solve the waste management problem. You can do anything, but if one piston is not firing, then the machine will not move. So, circular economy, we all know the principles of circular economy. We want to contribute in that space in terms of waste management. So, I can easily just invite you and just watch. Very soon we'll be out there, and we want ideas from everybody of you to ensure that we solve this waste management problem in this generation, in this time, in this space with you together. Thank you.
Thank you very much for that very, very comprehensive articulation of where we are and where we want to go. We've heard that the country has quite a robust enabling environment to deal with the problem. We've heard that the local authority is actually on the move, and now we have a specific law. The company is taking off. The approach of dealing with the problem has also transformed. There is a new way, a new approach. Solid waste is no longer being looked at as rubbish. We have been told it's a resource. Yeah? So there's a new way of thinking. There's a new company. And I guess this atmosphere is not just within the local authority. This atmosphere is permeating all the organizations that are somewhere connected or are dealing with waste. So we'll move to hear from the representative from Massive Dynamics. You introduce yourself and tell us what your organization does. But within 5 minutes, I gave Doc more minutes because he was dealing with such a huge area, policy and all. So within 5 minutes, can you elaborate what innovations your company is bringing, to dealing with this problem?
how do you look at partnerships? How are you partnering with the local authority, for instance?
Okay.
So innovations and partnerships. So where are you as a company?
Okay, so I'm the founder of Mass Dynamic. So we are focused on waste management. So basically, think of it this way. So our company basically deals with waste in a way, we look at it as from a vendor point of view, right? So think about it. So you got your waste at home, and you need to find a way of transporting it. We have moved to a new town, a new place in Lusaka. How do you know the people who got the waste in that area? So what I've come up with is an innovation platform, a mobile app, right? That's like Olendo, where you download the app, when you download the app, you sign up. Then, so in each region, there are certain garbage collection trucks, which are allocated in certain regions. From there, they will tell us a schedule, right? So they will tell us a schedule, then all you do is then go in the app and then you request for garbage collection on their time frame. Also, there's time to actually showcase the actual app, so have a look. Maybe if the time allows us, but we want to show you how it actually does work. So now it enables you now, first of all, to get accountability. So if someone fails to basically, fails to collect your waste, you're able to report now that the waste has been collected. You're able to also work, obviously, with councils where they're actually able to report some of the legal dump sites. So in as much as the council is able to assist, you also realize that it's very difficult for them actually to know exactly what's happening in every corner of Lusaka. So in work with the public, right? So that's the first innovation. So think of it as an Olendo app. You can request for garbage collection. Now, the second innovation, or second part of it, or has to do with basically how then can you actually get incentives for people. So people look at trash as trash, right? So look at a plastic container, all they see is trash. How can you convert that mentality where people are able to get incentives? So the second part of it, which we're always hoping to launch by the first week of January, is having these containers which are actually acquiring, right? People bring their plastics there, they weigh the containers, and they get an incentive, right? They get points. Now each point will mean different things, right? Each point, certain points will mean cash, certain points will mean things like Hungry Lion. So if you're hungry, all you do is just collect enough plastic bags to take to recycle centers, and you're able to see these things. From there you weigh them. So each weight means they're getting certain points. So in the containers, we put the part where it talks about things like, the number of points you accumulate, right? So maybe let's say 50 points, you're able to see the across behind you. 50 points means Hungry Lion, means free food, means free cash for you. So now that way, it changes the mentality. So, because we realize that in as much as we're talking about people paying for the waste collection, right? Most people who actually are highly affected are from the compounds. And when they do our surveys, realize these people don't even have money for relish. They don't want to pay for the actual collection of the garbage collection. But the question is then, how can you make them want to pick up the plastic bags and then be able to actually get some value out of that? So how do you make money as a company? So what I'm doing now is when those basically are able to be they come to us, we bundle them up and they're able to recycle them, to recycle these plastic waste to recycling companies which we are planning to basically partner with. The idea is to get a situation where it's a win-win for everyone. When people are able to see a plastic, they say, listen, that's actually money, that's relish for me, that's food for me. So that way, we're able to create a circular economy, right? When you go and weigh your waste, you get SMS alerts immediately, like obviously, points accumulated right now. You're able to know. The number two is that also the third thing we're also looking at is also creating issues of promotions, right? So think of it this way. So,
Yes.
Okay, after having gone my 5 minutes. All right, so one thing also.
Maybe just conclude.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, you give us your concluding.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry, I went in too deep. So basically, two aspects in terms of innovation. Number one, having a mobile app where there's accountability, where people are able to know these garbage collectors' tracks, able to know exactly where the track is. So we can, from our platform, able to see where the tracks are going. So if you're a garbage collecting owner, you know where your tracks are. Then for the people who can afford that, they're now looking at plastics as gold. They're now able to see plastics can actually make a living for them, and then obviously make income out of those plastics. So thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. Things are happening. Innovation is happening. One time we visited Mr. Simpson, and is Manzibali, the CEO, is one person who has this, thinking, everything is a resource. It's just how you look at it, the thinking of a business person. So innovation is happening. The movement has taken off. So now let's move on to the representative from Chilanga Cement. You have certain opportunities that as a company you are providing that will help to deal with this issue. Can you please just, within 5 minutes, give us an overview? I know you can talk for 6 minutes. But within 5 minutes, can you please give us the opportunities that Chilanga Cement is providing to decisively deal with this problem of solid waste in partnership with communities, the local authorities, and other players?
Okay, thank you so much, Mr. Mwamba. Call me David.
Yeah.
Okay, good evening, everyone. My name is Claire Chiresa-Punda. I'm the head of Eco Units. Before I tackle the question, I would just love to just give a brief introduction, just for purposes of clarity, because when we hear Chilanga Cement, we all know that Chilanga Cement is well known for building cities, building, we say building tomorrow, today. So, but as Chilanga Cement, we are alive to the fact that our environment is being polluted, and we do subscribe to SDG number 3 that talks about good health and well-being. And from that aspect, the company has looked at what ways can we come in and support the community at large. And so in 2017, a waste management brand was introduced. I think we became actively in 2018. So we are a waste management brand of Chilanga Cement, and we mainly focus on offering disposal solutions for hazardous and non-hazardous waste. We have been doing this from 2018 as indicated, and we realized that the issue of waste is really a big issue, because you can see from the tonnages that we've actually been disposing of from 2018, we started with 2,800 tons of waste, and as at 2021, we had done about 13,000 tons. We are now going into 15 to 20,000 tons. So already you can see that we have a big problem at hand, and this is why for us it gives us so much pleasure to utilize our current existing technology of the cement kiln to be able to dispose of this waste. We dispose of the waste using a process called co-processing. So this process is superior to incineration because it doesn't leave any residue and it does not contaminate the environment. So we're helping to reduce carbon emissions, and so this gives us so much pride. So coming to the question that you have asked in terms of what we are doing as Chilanga Cement. So we have seen it fit that it's important that we enhance on the technology that we have. And so we were facing a bit of some challenges in terms of expanding the base of the waste that we can manage. So over time, we have offered a solution to the agriculture sector, manufacturing, service industries, and a few waste management companies. But we haven't offered a solution to municipal solid waste. And it's for this reason that as Chilanga Cement, we are working on investing in what we are calling a pre-processing plant. It's a double shaft shredder that is able to shred and plastic, paper, wood, clothes, you name it, packaging waste for manufacturers, we're able to shred that. This is a machinery that will be able to process these types of waste at a speed of 5 tons per hour. So it's a massive machinery that will cater for a broad spectrum of waste. And it's for this reason that we are working to actually partner with the Lusaka City Council. As you heard from Mr. Kachikoti, the management of waste is under the Lusaka City Council. So as a private sector, we cannot go into the community and outrightly have access to that waste. So we are partnering with Lusaka City Council and to see how best we can collaborate with the community and other stakeholders. So when you look at it, the outlook itself speaks to great economic value that will come out of it, because the fact that we'll be able to shred plastic waste means that we can make that plastic waste available to recyclers. The non-recyclable waste, we'll be able to use that in our cement kiln for energy recovery. And then all these other wastes that the recyclers leave at the dump site, like the packaging waste, the wood, you name it, we'll be able to process all that. Meaning that we'll be able to reduce the waste that will be at the landfills. So as a result, providing a solution to our government as a private sector, and a lot of job creation in the process, because the plant itself that we're going to install will create jobs for the community, and the community that are there right now that are managing this waste will also be able to benefit. So all in all, what Shilanga Cement is actually saying, you know, I was laughing when Mr. Kachikoti was talking about the social scientists. They have brought in the issue to rethink. So as Eco Unit, our slogan is rethinking waste for a sustainable future. So we have followed the social scientists and we're saying, don't just look at waste as waste. We are able to rethink and use it for bettering our lives and our environment. Thank you so much.
I feel like we are at the cusp of a revolution. I'm feeling so positive listening to all this. You know, it's so aspirational. Eh? It gives you a lot of hope. We have in our midst a representative from ZEMA. You are welcome, sir. So we invite you to take your seat among the panelists. Yeah. So as he takes his seat, I will turn to Sunshine, the representative from Sunshine. You explain what your organization does, you introduce yourself, and you know, take us confidence in terms of the work that you do regarding solid waste, particularly engagement, sensitization, and what you believe are some of the drivers of the problem in Lusaka City. In 5 minutes strictly, because we want to have time to interact with our audience.
Sure, thank you very much, moderator. My name is Marshall Mapongo. I work with an organization called Sunshine Group Zambia. So Sunshine Group Zambia was formed in 2019 as a non-governmental or non-profit making youth association registered under National Youth Development Council. And our goal is to improve the living spaces, the quality of living spaces, that is to create zero waste future cities, villages, and the places that we are found in. So basically, we recognize the fact that waste is a very big problem, that you rightly put it, as you rightly put it, we've inherited a very big problem that cannot only be, the solution cannot be only found by Lusaka City Council, ZEMA. It's a problem that caters everyone, and therefore solutions can be found by all of us. So we come in 2 thematic areas. We've adopted sensitization, or let me say awareness. So we know what Lusaka City Council is doing as the institution that is mandated by law to actually manage waste in our city. And also, we appreciate what ZEMA is also doing as a regulator, mandated by law to regulate waste management. So we partner with them to help them now, as everyone has agreed here, to say, the same way we've inherited waste as a problem, we've also inherited this permissive culture to say waste is neither a resource nor a responsibility. So with this tendency, or people have this tendency of actually putting a responsibility of solid waste on the local authority. To them, the responsibility of managing waste is on the Lusaka City Council or any other local authority. So we come in as an organization to try and change that narrative, to come and change the thinking, the behavior of the people that we think is to some extent or to large extent contributing to indiscriminate disposal of waste. So basically, we've adopted strategies like we are using social media. We are aware that about 2.9 million people are consulting social media in Zambia, and mostly about 62.9% are using Facebook. So we said, why can't we utilize that consumption of social media and try to reach out to people and actually sensitize them on the sustainable solid waste management. So we are employing that strategy. We are using social media. On 7th December 2021, we launched a social media campaign that we called Trash Art Campaign that has been running up to date, trying to sensitize people through social media, that is Facebook, posting on different platforms to sensitize people about the importance and also the disadvantages of actually disposing or indiscriminate disposal of waste. Okay, thank you very much.
Okay, thank you very much. So again, another hopeful story. So the stories we tell ourselves are important. So if we tell ourselves, stories that help us move forward, then we'll move forward. We started off with Lusaka City Council, local government. We are going to not end but punctuate the panel discussion with the government regulator on the environment, the Zambia Environmental Management Agency, ZEMA. So the representative from ZEMA, you will introduce yourself and tell us what ZEMA is all about. But for this panel discussion, please talk a bit about your partnership with the local government and how that helps to deal with the issue of solid waste management. And I'm sure your role touches upon that subject quite strongly. And give us some of the examples of the good practices from your view in partnership with either the local government or partnership with other organizations. So in 5 minutes, strict 5 minutes.
Thank you, Moderator, and good evening, colleagues. My name is Bobby Simwai. I'm the head principal inspector. Initially, I was in charge of waste management, but apparently I'm in charge of enforcement and compliance. ZEMA is a regulatory authority, and basically just to say in brief, our main mandate is sustainable management of natural resources, prevention and protection of pollution. You know, that in itself is so compacted, and solid waste management is at the heart of this issue. And we've worked so closely with the council. My brother, Mr. Chikoti, is a witness. We have partnered so well because, in as much as we have to protect the environment, solid waste has been a mess to our, the drainages. If you go to the dump site, open air burning is all because of waste management. You know, when we talk of underground water pollution, it's all as a result of poor waste management. So our relationship with the local authority has been cordial because in accordance with our Environmental Management Act, Section 54, the role of solid waste management is vested in the City Council. So that we cannot separate ourselves from the local authority. So we are partners, and with the coming now of the National Solid Waste, even the solid waste company that is coming, that will be our partner as well. And just to talk about the eco plant at Chilanga, you know, we've been instrumental to that. We have to make sure that that project was approved because it is one of the solutions that we need as a country. Recycling, you know, we are now saying, they say energy is not destroyed, but it just changes form from one to another. Same applies to waste. Waste will never destroy it, but we can change it from one form to the other. We can convert the waste now into other products which are creating employment for the youths and others, like the Chilanga Eco Plant. You know, that is really something that is dear to us, and it's something that we would like to work with so closely. In as much as we might be aware that the Environmental Management Act is being now amended to suit now, to remove some of the responsibilities for them in relation to solid waste management, which will be transferred to the solid waste company. But even if that goes on, we will not separate ZEMA from solid waste management in the sense that ZEMA still will have the mandate of hazardous waste. You know, much of this waste, the solid waste, is commingled with hazardous waste. So that mandate of working together, the local authority, the company, ECO, will still, because we are the regulator and we have to manage and sustainably manage this environment that we are in. So the other one is the extended producer responsibility, which looks at the issues of recycling, issues of treatment of waste. So solid waste management, we will still continue partnering with the Lusaka City Council, we will still continue partnering with the solid waste company because we are still attached to that to manage the environment well and sustainably. Thank you.
Thank you very much. It's been quite an insightful discussion. I mean, we've had, you know, inspiring articulation from policy, from innovation, you know, leveraging technology. We've had, you know, great opportunities from the Equal unit. Again, looking at waste from a different and very, very productive perspective. We've had the role of sensitization. We've reached a point where we interact with our panelists. So if you have a question, you can direct it to a particular panelist, or you can just do a shotgun. A shotgun. Anyone who is ready to pick it up will pick it up. And in this session, at some point, I'm particularly interested to hear from our councillors and our community representatives. And what do you think about, you know, this discussion, the opportunities that this presents? Is this something that will help us decisively deal with the situation you have at community level, so that we are not speaking from the high, you know, from the high horses and really not seeing what is happening on the ground? So per ground, Vizafika per ground.
Okay, thank you so much. Once again, my name is Nelson Kabudra from Zambia Institute of Mass Communication, ZAMCO. Yeah, where there is a vision, there is a way. And clearly, I can see the vision, and the vision is right here in this room. Every discussant has clearly put on a table what innovations they put in place and to deal with solid waste solid management. The biggest challenge that I see in front of us is how to get the local community or the residents get involved actively in all these innovations that we've put on the table. So the biggest challenge that we may face is sensitization and letting the community buy in the innovations and the strategies that we are coming up with to deal with the issues of solid management, waste solid management. Because now it's the rainy season, very soon. The roads, the drainages are filled up with waste. And where does it come from? From the community, from motorists, cyclists, and talk about anybody else. So I think we need to find a better way to get the community, everyone buy in the solutions that everyone has provided. I think it's just a comment, thank you.
Okay. And that is an important comment, and it immediately invites anyone from the community to address how can we bring the community on board, given all this innovation, what role, what mechanisms, how can the community effectively be a partner?
Thank you so much. To me, I think all this discussion will be futility if we don't engage the school-going children and the schools. We have to bring the schools, the school-going children, because we've tried in our community to find that the polluters, most of them are school-going children. And we should also engage the Lusaka, the trade kings. Trade kings, to me, they have proved to be the most culprit in the pollution of our environment. So when we engage our school-going children, we sensitize in schools, we help the pupils also, they should help to sensitize in the community. That will help us to at least clean up our environment.
So trade kings are the polluters in what sense?
You see, even this that we have here, their interest is just making money, but they don't see where we throw their solid waste, like bottles of water. I know the big one also pick a point from that. The sweets, the jiggies, all those things. I think they're the most things that are making our environment. So
they have a lot of products, eh? Yes. Which contribute to them. Anybody else from the community?
Yeah. Thank you. Good evening once again. I think in my case, I looked at the presentation from the massive dynamics. I think that up that they're coming up. You know, anything that you attach money with, I think people buy in. And I think it should not just cater to, people who are going to do, but I think they can also try to see how best maybe it can go down to a person who is like I had put it, who is poor. To ensure that whenever they see the waste, they will know that it's money. In the past, we used to have for a lot of these junk yards where it was filled with vehicles which were parked. But this time around, we don't see all those things. Because anyone, even if you leave something that is made up, in the morning you won't find it. Because whenever someone passes, they will say, this is money. It's an open check. They will go and sell it. So I think with that app, maybe we can go down to try to see how best anyone can buy in. And in so doing, I think everyone will be very, very interested to see to it that we manage waste. And of course, just to expand from my colleague, he did mention of trade kings. I think maybe in these big companies like we have here in Manzi Valley, maybe even as they come up with the marketing policy, they should also ensure that I think they also try to educate the public how to manage waste. That even this bottle, once we have bought this bottle, it's also money that you can come back and sell it. Maybe to them, it will add value. No one will just throw anything because they will know that much as I've spent maybe 10 kwacha, I can recover a 1 kwacha, a 15. Thank you.
So Newton, open check. Open check. Scrap metal is open check. That's why you don't see it. I'll turn to Edward.
Thank you. Eddie Chikuta is my name. I'm coming from Border Zambia. I think a question to Lusaka City Council, but also an extension of what Mr. Kaputula has indicated. one of the things, and the director did indicate quite clearly that there are potholes in the thinking. I think he put it very well like that. And I think he identified it as one of the major problems that is leading to the worst scenario that we have in Lusaka. I asked myself a question. I think when you look at the strategies that we have, I think sensitization is not really emphasized and bottom-up community approaches. What is the company bringing on board in that respect to ensure that there is some form of a citywide strategy around capacity building on solid waste management? But I see as a city also failed quite a lot in terms of enforcement, because if we are not enforcing, then we do not actually get people, because people work, from our understanding, is that they work better if there is a stick somewhere. That's how it has been working. And I think we've failed quite often in the enforcement aspect, because Lusaka City Council over the years has more or less, like, I would say, subcontracted the solid waste management functions to the CBEs and the franchise contractors. So when the franchise contractors are in the field, they're the ones collecting. If anyone is throwing, they're not there. So the Lusaka City Council was only working in the waste management district in town center, which they've also given up to the franchise contractors. So you see that the problem still keeps going back and forth, because we've extended this to other people that do not have the whip. And then on the other end, on the community side, we've got community members, the willingness to pay, because of the mindset is not there. So for me, how do we get to that point? Because we're bringing in a company, yes, we're looking at investment, we're looking at aspect of capacity building, efficiency, but we've got the CBEs. How does that all fit into this picture for us to really get the numbers up from the 30% of collection to at least about 70, 80%?
Okay, thank you very much. I will not immediately ask him to respond. Perhaps there is another person with a question. You have a question? It's not a comment, it's a question. Okay. Okay, so there is, we start with him? Okay, you can take it up.
Thank you very much. My name is Abena Divinity from Zambia WASH Advocacy Network, and we are the Vice Chair for Knowledge and Advocacy Committee. I think for me, it's not a question, but it's just a concern. When you talk about the partners there, we are saying we have partnered with the Lusaka City Council. I think for me, as we live, we need to think of what next, like the people from the community, because the issue here is the community. So how do we really go to the communities and the communities really understand? Like one of the examples, like the Manzi Valley, they are producing water and some of the bottles are thrown like that. But the issue is, how do the community benefit from the water that they've taken and they've thrown that thing as a waste? I think the partnership has to be broad, has to be put seen, while as we are going to the communities, we need to look at what exactly is the partnership between Lusaka City Council, because the issue here is Lusaka City Council. But again, we need to marry with them, and we need to look, we need to check on what activities do we want, because the way these people have come out with is something that we are seeing a change on issues to do with solid waste. But when we live here, everything will be the same. So we need the partnership, the real partnership, as we go to the communities. I know I would have gone. Thank you very much.
Okay, so the point is, how can we develop more effective partnership? That's basically what you're asking. How can we develop more effective partnership? So that is bringing in the dimension that partnership ultimately is the one that enables us to collectively deal with the problem, because the problem is huge and it has many tentacles. It's like an octopus. So partnership, how do we deal with partnership? Your question, please, if you can make it short and to the point.
Sure. Thanks so very much. My name is Answana Gift, coming from Helma Kumla, World Development Committee Chairperson. My question is that as we are putting this in place, because like for many years, the CBEs has been there on the ground, ancestalization that has been done, but you find that in our communities, waste is still there. But why is it that you can't find what is the root cause that is causing that this problem is not coming like to be solved? And what solution is it going to be there? Because most of the time you find that once you sensitize, for the community it's very difficult to understand and to tell them the reason. If anything involved, like they say, it's going to take like, they are going to pay, the little that are going to pay and the CBEs are getting those. You find that these days what they are doing, that even though they dump their waste, people will pass, those like junkies, will find that you find the sack, they will throw it on the ground and they get the sack. Because they're getting to, they're going to sell. So now most of the time we find that even waste, they don't know how waste can be divided. You find that they would even see Mavija, they are like bottles, everything, and then they are putting them together. So most of the time when we're doing the sensitization, let's educate the community to say, this kind of waste, we can dispose them in this way. This waste in this way, this waste in this way. That way, we find that it will be easy.
So thank you very much. So there are 3 questions now, and the last question is very interesting. Is from the community, and that's why we need always the community on board. So the issue of how can we decisively deal with the waste in the community, the dimension of junkies. I hope they are not solid waste themselves.
I don't know whether we're still picking persons.
I want the panelists to respond to the 3, and then we can take 3 more. Is that okay?
That's fine.
Okay. So perhaps I think the first question was directed to the director, the doc. Maybe you can pick it up.
Yeah. Thank you, Eddie. Thank you for the questions, but you have the answers. So I'm just going to remind you of the answers. I think one question that I would pose in this room: how many of us are paying for garbage right now? The next question is, what's the name of your company? So I'll catch you, isn't it? Fine. Okay, that was a simple test, isn't it? That was a simple test. But then you talked about sensitization, that the plan is not very clear on sensitization. I think we have a document. We are an institution, government institution that works with the document. And we realize also that the challenge is, like I said, it's a mindset. The behavior of Zambians as regards attitudes towards waste management is a flat line. Whether you're educated, whether you're poor, whether you're a student, we can take a walk to University of Zambia now. That's my former school. Let's take a walk there. It's dead. Even when trains health inspectors, it's dead. I think, I don't want to single out, but I'm talking about institutions where I have been. So the question is, if these institutions do not manage waste properly, when they start working, do you think they will pay for waste? Because an adult will start looking at survival, isn't it? So Councillor Milupi talked about sensitization. Yes, our approach is at kindergarten. That's why at LCC, in fact, coming to partnerships, we are one of the best institutions that practices SDG number 17, partnerships. I think JIS supported us. There's 3 phases of what we call Green Schools Partnership Program, where we are going to schools teaching children about menstrual hygiene, waste management, several aspects of sanitation. And I think we are advancing aggressively into phase 4 to ensure that we change the mindset, because these are young children that will come and change the narrative at our houses, isn't it? Yes, because children listen more to their teachers and also these peers that come to teach them. So if we reach out to 200 children, we would have reached out to 200 families, times 6 people in that family. So we have a robust approach towards that. But then I want you to remember the cholera outbreak, isn't it?
Yes.
There was a lot of sensitization, posters, TV adverts, and the like. Remember? Even COVID, Ministry of Health was heavily funded for visibility. And LCC has been struggling to raise finances for visibility, because sensitization actually cuts 40% of enforcement costs. So, like I said, we have a company now, and using the EPR, I think the EPR, I agree with you, Councillor Mirupi, the EPR is one of the tools that can finance solid waste management sustainably. Our research has shown that you are only willing to pay for garbage 1% of your monthly income. So our approach is increase the subscription rate to maybe 90% and drop the charges. Right now you should be paying around 100 kwacha or so, isn't it? Yes. So if we drop 100 kwacha to 25 kwacha, won't you pay? Very urban area will pay them at 30 kwacha. If you drop them to 5 kwacha, won't you pay? Now the weak link is this. The garbage collector comes to your house to collect garbage and you pay to them, isn't it? Yes. That's a weak link, because anyone can capitalize that particular joint. So I can safely tell you that we have re-engineered the whole process. Using artificial intelligence, where we are going, there will be nowhere to hide, because everyone must pay for garbage. Finance it, pay for it, then complain. If Zambians don't subscribe for garbage collection, definitely, how are we going to finance it? We need money for those athletes. We need money for ambassadors. We need money for branding. We need money, like I said, sensitization awareness cuts about 40% of enforcement costs. So we are coming in with an orange and a whip, like you rightly put it. So, yes, we can't go door to every household, say, are you paying here? No, we're paying. Are you paying here? No. Lusaka is big. And the question is, how are we going to approach it? We are automating the system. By that, I mean we are going to use technology to ensure that we have already divided the city into zones and everything. And these CBs, yes, we opened doors to CBs with the municipal bylaw of 2004 that created the West Management Districts. We created employment, but over time, I think the systems have collapsed. People want to do whatever they want and they don't want to be accountable. I think where we're going, I see where we're going. There will be nowhere to run. If you're a garbage collector, there are rules. We need to know where you're collecting. Take to the landfill or waste energy plant and ensure that the Zambian people get the services that they deserve. So we have re-engineered. I don't want to preempt what is in the offering for the company. What Zambians want, what residents of the city, what you want here is a clean environment, isn't it? In the background, no one cares what happens, isn't it? You just want your bill to be picked. So willingness to pay. By the way, I wish to mention that we have received support from the good people of Japan for a 4-year project. It's called the Lusaka Clean City Project, which has started already. We want to improve the collection, transportation at the landfill. As we are speaking, we are carrying out emergency civil works at the landfill so that we increase, rolling in and rolling out of trucks, no queues during the rain season. So we are engineering that place. There will be a lot of improvement that you're going to see. And that comes again with the visibility, awareness, and this is a call to everybody who has ideas. The media has to help us, everybody needs to help us. And then, how do we increase subscription rate? I think I answered that one. I'll give you simple arithmetics. Our statistics, we're waiting for the census, isn't it? But right now, our estimation is around 3 million Zambians, plus or minus these who live in Kafiuwe, Chiwombo, Chongwe, and do their work in the city and go back and sleep in their city, isn't it? So let's say bare minimum of 3 million Zambians in the city. And then we say each one pays a 1 kwacha. How much money would that be? A lot is 3 million. Simple arithmetic, isn't it? Every month we can have 3 million kwacha if every Zambian can pay. That's a 1 kwacha. You can see all these TV debates. We can pay for anything. We can buy fuel. We can even get trucks for our garbage collectors. The peri-urban area is unplanned. How do we pass a compactor there? There are challenges of mobility and the like. Let me conclude by saying that please do not despair. I know it's a daunting task. people are irritated, the LCC, everything is bad about Lusaka City Council. But yeah, the narrative is changing. The company is here. We are not saying LCC has not done good, but we have tried, but there are certain things that we could have done better. But the company is here to attract investments, make drastic moves, and ensure that everyone, every institution, every school, every household will graduate the system to ensure that it's affordable. First of all, I think I told you about the 3 principles, eh? Mm-hmm. I need to, I mentioned precautionary principle, which is not what, but let me correct it. The first principle is polluter-pays principle. Mm-hmm. Remember this. The second principle is affordability principle. Waste management service must be affordable, isn't it? As long as it's not affordable, people will duck it, okay? And then they'll find a 5-kwacha for the wheelbarrow push. Then the last principle is full cost recovery. What Claire is doing and what we are trying to do at Chunga. We want to close Chunga dam site and put a waste to energy plant there. And then we solve all those waste management pollution whatsoever. Meaning we want to create a resilient city, a livable city here in Lusaka. So the future is bright, Eddie. The future is bright. We will work together, everyone, and see where we are coming from and ensure that Lusaka shall retain or recall its past glory of the Garden City, isn't it? It's possible. Thanks.
So I'll take, let's give, so I will take the last round of questions, but I have to note that in this round of questions, we still have to deal with the effective partnership with the community, which he raised. So when the rubber hits the road, you know, we can talk about effective enforcement, what, all this has failed when the rubber hits the road. Because the community can leverage their political power to subvert even the good thing. We've seen it happen with the cadres chasing away enforcement officers. Eh? When we talk to Lusaka City, why can't you go and enforce? Hey, was that a timber? You know, like, you want me killed or you want me fired? Because all that is coming from which there is a power that the community has. And how can we partner with that power for purposes of good, not for purposes of subverting our collective interest? Yeah? So, yeah, I will take Simpson's question. Thank you. Yeah. Then I will come to, okay, there are 2 here, and then there are 3, so we'll have about 5 questions. But please, in asking, just make it short.
Okay, I have a couple of questions. Actually, I'd like to say that I have so much to talk about, but I don't think I'm going to talk about it all today. Yeah. My question, a brief one to Chilanga Cement. You talked about 13,000 tons. How long is it taking you to process this 13,000 tons? And as a second on that question, I'm going to go now to Lusaka City Council. You talked about generation of 1,000 tons of garbage per day, of which rough mathematics is telling us you're collecting about 200 to 250 tons per day, which then comes to a question which is raised by a non-panelist. And although it was raised in connection with one of my colleagues in industry of production, I raise it again with regards to ZEMA, which was a producer responsibility question, which is the question of why is it that as a people we actually think that the producer is responsible for the garbage created. Why I ask that is I'm a producer, and whilst we've taken steps to reduce the garbage that we produce, the reason we produce the garbage is because there's a market for the product which needs packaging for that garbage. And if you stop the production of the garbage, there will be no product out to anybody, whether it's a sweet, a bottled water, a packet of meat or whatever it is. We've come into a society where we actually need to generate garbage in some way or the other. So my question was on the 13,000 tons. My question was on actually I didn't actually ask the question, but the question I wanted to ask you was, when you get your 3 million kwacha, what accountability do you have on that money that you're going to be able to use that money? And from what I understand, the Lusaka City Council is actually a garbage collection and process garbage collection system rather than a processing system. You talk about energy creation at the Chunga dump site and eliminating Chunga dump site. But basically what you're probably more interested in is cleaning up the city and getting the garbage out there. When do we actually put a value? In fact, the community, I'm talking too long, but the community member who raised up a very crucial point, and I'm not so sure we actually realize how crucial this point is, which was the elimination of the steel garbage, which we had. And we had a lot of steel garbage generated and lying around, but now there's very little. And the reasoning behind that is because the value was given to that steel garbage. A product was creatable out of the scrap steel. Now I think the problem is with plastic bottles, and I'll just explain this just as plastic bottles so people can understand this. The problem is with plastic bottles is that they're very light. And plastic is sold by unit of weight. And the price of plastic is relatively low per unit. You could look at a bottle of water, for example, and, okay, not the ones which are nicely presented here in glass, but a small 500 ml bottle is going to be about between 60 and 21 grams, depending on how efficient the producer is. Now, 16 grams of plastic is very low in terms of money value. And I think that's where the challenge that comes in getting the community to pick up that very light product and get paid almost nothing for it. So those are the questions that I think, maybe I've asked too many, and like I said, I think this fora is fantastic. There's so much to talk about, so much interesting, so much exciting things that are there. So I'll leave it there with
Thanks a lot. Thanks a lot for getting back to the open check and really, giving us another perspective about, this thing is unlike the steel, where you can make money, plastic is light. How do we make money out? How do we create an open check that is meaningful from plastic? So that's a question. I hope it's been noted. I had a few questions from here.
Yeah, thank you very much. My name is Joanna from Moscow. Like you said, moderator, I think the information we're getting here is very exciting. But I had one or two questions that I would like to ask. First of all, I think Lusaka City Council, in view of the coming of this company, how much have we done in terms of sensitization to generate that behavior change across what I would call the solid waste service chain? So solid waste, I believe, has a service chain. It starts from generation, then there's the issue of collection, transportation, and then you get into the issues of disposal, where you could also have the recycling aspects. What I hear from all these panelists is that the focus is on collection, transportation, and maybe issues of recycling. But I think that we are missing out the practical aspects, the generation bit of it from the household. Because if you don't sensitize the household with regard to the 3 R's that Doc mentioned, the issues of reduce, reuse, and recycle, at that level, then the rest of the chain will not work. So at household level, I must know that a bottle of water, if I drink the water, I can use it for something else at that point. Or I must be able to say, you know, this is how I can reuse certain products. We've seen people getting used up tires, making, you know, flower pots and whatnot. So if we do not sensitize at that level, then the rest of the chain will fall apart. And that is where I think we've missed it as a panel. So I would like you to comment on that aspect. That's the first question. Second question, Doc, again, I want to put you on the spot. Exciting that, you know, if everybody paid the one kwacha, you know, would get 3 million and so on. These are stories that we've heard from the sector where I'm coming from. Now I want to pick from one of the speakers that says that, you know, our civic leaders, they can work both for the good and the bad, depending on where they want to, what they want to achieve. So how are you going to make it possible? And I think that's a very critical question that if you answer it well, the rest of us from the water sector will learn from you. Because it sounds like the water sector story, you know. Yeah. Third question is for Sunshine, you said?
Yeah, Sunshine.
Sunshine, for you the question is around targeting. I know the numbers look interesting around how many people use Facebook and so on and so forth, but you also need to know two things. We use Facebook, first of all, for, I would say, gossip. You really need to do your targeting well for people to read serious stuff on Facebook. That's number one. Number two, in the communities where our colleagues are coming from, where the biggest chunk of waste is being generated, I don't think that the Facebook approach would work there. You know, so I'm not sure if we are really reaching those people. Third aspect, the doc asked us here, how many are paying for garbage, you know, how many know their service provider and so on. So the issue of targeting, because I may know my service provider and I'm paying, but maybe I have another issue around garbage. So how well are you targeting this sensitization messaging and also the channels that you're using? Thank you.
Very, very important questions, some of which touch upon the questions that have already been asked. Interestingly, the question that Mr. Simpson raised, extended producer responsibility. Why should the producer be responsible? At what point does a bottle become waste? Is it at the point where it has water? Because when I get water, I don't say I'm drinking water from waste. So it connects to what Chola is talking about, where the rubber hits the road. At the point where the service chain begins, how are we going to get that right? Because that could be the problem that we failed to solve up to this point. So there was another question here. Yeah.
I think the question is for Zema, since it's a regulatory organization. I don't know whether they are so much concerned with the big corporate companies where they do the enforcement. Because if you remember, I think when we had cholera, I think that was a few years ago, when we saw the soldiers moving down, and even in our compounds, we saw to it that no one was throwing the garbage anyhow. Everyone was fearing the soldiers. I'm sure that has to do with the mindset. And I think our director, Mr. Kashikotu, will agree that we have enough laws that are in our books. And it's very easy just to enforce those rules so that each one from the household will definitely adhere to those rules, coupled with Zema. Because Zema, I think, I look at it that they have not come down. Because these are the people who are supposed to sensitize, come in our community and sensitize our people. And I think they will know exactly that it's important to ensure that we manage our waste.
So the point you are saying is that as a community, you are able to help with the regulation in partnership.
Exactly.
So as a community, they are able to help with the enforcement in partnership. So I think that's an important point we need to take. We have the question here. Please make it short. First we take here. So very short question.
Thank you and good evening. Apologies, I came in late, so maybe I missed something. But just from the discussions that are being had here, I just have a few comments and maybe question or two. So firstly, I'm Vanessa Sanga from Coca-Cola Beverages. And my question is around what happens to institutions that are already doing something about waste in terms of implementation of the EPR regulation. And then I just want to agree with my colleague over here who says coming from the manufacturing or production side of the recycling value chain in this instance. One thing I think everyone's missing out is that we really need to consider the whole value chain in its entirety, the whole 360. Because the way it is now, we are, sorry to say, entertaining a naughty child. And that child needs to be made responsible. If I pack something for my son, I expect him to bring back the lunchbox and not throw it away. If he doesn't, I'll pack it in a plastic bag next time. We need to do something about awareness also. A lot of it, I agree that awareness plays a big role when you're trying to achieve something like, in this case, solid waste management or recycling. Also, we need to target the recycler, because when you do that, you're creating value at that level. Then you're not the only ones who are looking for that waste. Other people may be even more interested than you because there's some value there. You need to create value. I agree that I don't think EPR should be something that's targeted at producers, for instance, because, again, when does it become waste? We need to package. Packaging is a global issue. We need packaging. That's not going to change, but how we manage it and how we train or raise awareness on how to manage that waste. Back to the EPR, the levy or the charge, the fee. Over time, and again, I'll say it's been tried, been done before, and even on there's also examples from other markets. That over time will become unsustainable, and then charges will start to increase. Who then will be asked to bear that charge? And that's why I'm coming back to saying we're entertaining a naughty child. Saying, okay, later I'll pick it up for you, but then, and you're charging some people for it. Over time, it will become unsustainable and the fee will go higher. I think we need to change a little our focus on which are the target areas to really achieve the targets or the goal that we are trying to achieve.
Okay, thank you very much. We are taking a lot of questions. This is the last round of questions in the interest of time. At some point, I mean, it's an exciting discussion. But at some point, we need to bring it to a close and conclude. Evans, yes. I'm begging you, Sabine, ask you.
All right, don't worry, it's my very good friend. Yeah, so on the EPR, the issue is how can we incentivize the EPR to an extent that communities begin to benefit out of it. I was in some country where after buying disposable Coca-Cola, when I take it back where I bought it, they will give me a coin. That incentive was good enough that you will not find any bottles of Coca-Cola laying around anywhere. So can we take the EPR implementation at community level? That is one. That was for ZEMA. LCC, maybe you can also just talk about the timelines for the waste to energy power plant. This is great news for Lusaka. Chilanga Cement, you can also talk about the timelines, but also LCC, as the company has come in, how are you looking at the community-based enterprises and the private franchises? How are you looking at them? How are you going to incorporate them, or you are going to throw them away? Thank you.
Okay, the last question is from the WDC chairperson.
Sure. Just, I think I'll just add on what you said.
Yeah.
I think my contribution is, I think that what we need to start with is the CBE and the Lusaka City Council. Once we talk of we involve the CBE so much in sensitization, and we talk of, once you buy like a bottle of water, you take it home, and then we say, when the time of the CBE coming to correct, those plastic things, you will sell the CBE and you will pay for some waste that you have consumed. I think it will be better, because once you know that if I get this bottle of water, even though I'm in town, I'll put it in my car, I'll put it home. Once they are coming to correct those wastes that they consumed at home, like in terms of like what I said earlier to say, which are something solid, I'll give to the CBE, I'll pay for those things. But as they are getting something for plastic as well, they will pay me off for steel. They will pay me, so there will be that exchange of money. So I won't take it as I'm just paying them. Well, again, they will pay me, as he has said, to say, you need to take a bottle of water, you give them a coin, they'll pay, so there will be that exchange. I think that way, I don't know how we can move with it.
Okay, thank you very much. I think we've taken quite a number of questions. It was the last round, so I will allow the panelists to answer. I hope you were taking down the specific question, but in broad terms, there are questions around the community. How do we get everything we've talked about working at community level? There are questions around EPR and the incentive question. You know, how do we balance incentives and responsibility? How do we balance? That's the last question you asked. How do we balance incentives and responsibility? So there are other broad questions that have been, but those, for me, came out, those categories are like the crucial one, but you respond to the specific questions. I would like to start with the doc. Please take it up. If you can contract your responses to the bare essentials so that we save a bit of time on our program.
Thank you, Mr. Nonde. I hope my councillors know I'm taking the hit, so I need a pay rise after. Okay, so I'll start with the accountability. Like I said, there's a lot of bad blood with the public and LCC. But then, let me make mention that the company, like Lusaka Water and Sanitation Company, now the Lusaka Integrated Solid Waste Management Company has got a robust board of directors in place already. So issues of accountability, I think have been dealt with. We have the finance committee, technical committee, human resource committee. I personally don't believe in wastage or pilferage. I think every coin from the taxpayers' money must be accounted for. So be rest assured that the money will be safe, or it is safe. So that's what I can say. Yes, we are looking at incentivizing the industry to attract people to pay, and also to ensure that the recycler, I think November 2, 2020, we held the waste management in Dawa, where we brought the industry. If you come to my house, my hang wires are from recycled plastic. So the brilliant stories out there, products, pavers, anything, cups. I have a lot of artifacts I wish I could carry and show you that the revolution is happening. We can do so much and reduce the virgin material for production of even roofing sheets from plastic. So we have tested the industry, and like I said, we are re-engineering the whole process. Remember, we are part to the multinational agreement, so we must measure the recycling rate for the city. So how do we measure the recycling rate for the city if we don't have statistics? Data is important, so I don't want to preempt, but yes, we are reaching out. We have a list of recyclers, and we also have a list of aggregators. We have done partnerships. Zambia Breweries through a product called Manja Pamozi, Recyclomania, I think what we may need, maybe, or what we might have needed as LCC is a serious corporate affairs department that broadcasts our stories. We may not have much money for the media, but something is happening. And then how much sensitization have we done as regards to waste management service 10 from Madam Chola? I believe in local government, I believe in decentralization. It's the only way that would spur development in this country. Local authorities are well-organized structures. We are everywhere across the country. So, for example, Lusaka City Council, here in the city of Lusaka, we have 7 MPs, isn't it? Yes, because of the 7 constituencies, okay? Yes. So under the 7 constituencies, we did a demarcation, what is that? Where we increased the number of wards from 33 to 38. Delimitation exercise. So, first of all, you have the national government, now at city level, 7 MPs, meaning 25 million times 7 times, isn't it? I'm talking about CDF now. Coming down to each MP, he's got councillors under there, okay? So we have 38 councillors in the city of Lusaka. Below that, we have WDCs who have been recognized now in the Law Government Act number 2 of 2019, isn't it? As part of the structure. So we have constituency level, ward level, below the ward we've got the zones. So we know who stays where. We can reach out to everyone. In environmental sociology, there's what we call the gatekeepers. There was a question that how are you going to use the politicians? Our councillors are heavily sensitized. I think we interact every day. We just came back from Livingston. The whole focus was in Livingston for some of the most important, tremendous works we're doing. So we know how to reach out and how to leverage, because if the councillor understands the reason why we are doing what we are doing, the PDC committee, there will be our ambassadors, there will be our eyes there will be our feedback mechanism. So we are on course, and we have all the LCC structures where we can talk about the theories, but the most important thing is education at kindergarten level, at household level. You know now, go ye therefore and share the message at your house. Change must start at household level. I still believe that we can do something individually at the household level, at school level, and also the education system in this country must be overhauled. Okay, waste management becomes, maybe some of us will do, environmental related courses. So if someone is doing, for example, I don't know which course I can use, not to shoot, but they will never learn about waste. By the time you tell them you have to pay, it's a struggle. This person is working and is refusing to pay for garbage. We have several cases that we have won in the fast track courts for non-subscription of waste. You may not know, but records are there, and I think you can go check. We are one of the leading departments at the LCC in terms of prosecution for the people who are protecting public health and environmental laws in the city. We have, this thing is not working. We have what we call PESTEL. I need you to write this one down. Okay? PESTEL, capital P, E-S-T-E-E-L. Okay? So I'll start on your far right. That's the legal. Okay? So our approach, we use PESTEL. The legal framework, what legal instruments do we use to channel our agenda? Economic, I talked about waste management being affordable, okay? Economic, how do we incentivize? We have a business plan for the company. Lucy also has a business plan. So as an institution, we have a business plan. So everything must fit in the economic framework. What does the country economic framework look like? At company level, how do we ensure that waste management subscription should not be a burden to the people? Number 2, technological. The world has changed. We can't remain with the analog way of doing things. If you, Dynamic Minds talked about an app, but I think we are ahead of the game. Right now, if you go on Play Store, this is brilliant by the way, but as LCC, with support from GIZ, we have the PhD Smart. It's an app that we are launching very soon. You can interact any other public health issues from the public to LCC. Tell us there's a dead dog here, we'll reroute and we'll come and pick it. Our health inspectors will be using an app to inspect, so that before they even reach the office, I have the report, everybody has a report. There'll be nothing, no, I need the report for fiscal. No, just go on your profile and disaggregate it according to what you want. You are transferred, there's nothing like asking who is the, you just go in the profile, you have your annual report. So, PESDEL, technological application of technology in service delivery. We cannot go physically to each and everyone who has not paid, you know, the system will tell us. If your garbage has not been corrected, the system will tell us. So we will be, you know, exploring some of these private sector solutions to partner or tap into what we have already. And social, you know, waste management is a social issue. How do we ensure that it does not affect the social well-being of our people? So everything around sociology, all the social experts will have to give us an input. I'm coming now to environmental. You know, waste management affects all the three spheres of environment, air, land, and water, including, you know, personal life. Okay, so if you're always watching a bin that is full, your mind becomes, you've seen these people collect garbage, they look crazy from the outset, but they are not crazy. Okay, so the last one, the first P, which is now the last, I was climbing. The most important one is political. Politicians can sabotage good programs. Politicians can drive an agenda for implementation. So it depends on the approach. In war, you capture the general. You don't look for corporals, isn't it? When you capture the general, the war is over, isn't it? So our target is the politicians. The politicians must be sensitized. Councillor Milupi, we are in your ward. There's a problem here. Your people are not paying for government. How can you help us? Even tomorrow we are in your ward. You know, we have done several works. In Kapwepo at 25, I don't know which ward number now. You can go and talk to Councillor Patrick Sarubusa. We use the concept called Know Your Neighbor concept. If you see something, say something, isn't it? One of the cleanest wards in the city of Lusaka. I challenge you to go there, talk to him. He's going to tell you how we used him to drive the agenda forward, isn't it? Because an inspector comes with a whip, but if they see their councillor being in the forefront, they have a sense of belonging, okay? So we are doing that. And then local government system, okay, I talked about that. How well are you targeting, you know, service providers? I mean, there is an approach to that. What happens to institutions that are already doing something about it? I think that's for Dr. Semwai. Then create sustainable value chain. Yes, like I said, you know, the waste is a very complex issue. If you commingle waste at generation, for example, plastic, paper, cardboard, the cardboard loses value. The water bottle, you need a lot of cleaning when you're trying to recycle it. So if you separate that source, even the level of cleaning and the value increases. For example, the lid on the water bottle is more valuable than the body. Okay, so we separate the lid, we separate the bottle, we even separate the sticker. Okay, so it's a very complex chain. You need the numbers, but we are trying to first get established, look at how can we add an incentive to attract the waste so that it comes to us, we treat it. Remember, the ultimate goal is to protect public health and the environment. So, timeline for waste to energy plant, Engineer Tembo, we are now at due diligence stage. This was a public expression of interest. We're at due diligence stage and we cannot sabotage it now. The procurement process has to go on. We are yet to visit one plant for the bidder that responded. But all things being equal, if every paperwork is done, the PPP is signed, we anticipate 18 to 24 months construction period. And then it will suck up most of this waste because we need it as stock feed. The last one, status of CBA's franchise as the company is being operational. This is the Lusaka City Council Means of Finance company. All liabilities and assets are being transferred to the company. There's no contract that will be sabotaged, there's no Zambian that will lose jobs. In fact, we are creating more jobs and ensure that the service is delivered through the private sector. But I must sound a caution. I think the days of inefficiency are over. This is a company that will look at how well you perform. Right now, we have CBs, they've got zones, and of course they're struggling and here and there. But like I said in my earlier submission, that there will be nowhere to hide as a CBE. You don't perform, you are out of the game. I think we need to be serious. We are entertaining a naughty child in the house, isn't it? Yeah, so no sacred cows. We want waste to come out of every yard out there. We treat it, create jobs, and clean the environment. I think I can rest there. I only hope I've answered everything. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Perhaps Doc from Zema, you can pick up, just pass the, you can pick up your questions. Briefly, just
thank
speak
you, Doc,
each of the points.
for those elaborate answers, and I think I'll just write on those protocols. I think for me, I'll handle just two issues. I think the first one was how do we increase local participation in these issues. I think from Zemu point of view, what I just wish to bring more special on solid waste management, you may wish to know that we have got a project under the World Bank that will run up to 2025. For those who have been on the lookout, we sent for expression of interest for those who can do solid waste management issues. That includes recycling, treatment, and the like. There were grants. We are giving out grants. These grants, the highest, those Zambian-owned companies or individuals who can just prove they can do the job will go to get up to something like $1.5 million. So the local participation from the Zema point of view, let me take advantage of you, the community members, more especially our local leaders. Let's sensitize what is important, just to come up with a proper project, a project that will improve waste management in our environment sector. Then you can get this money every year. We'll be running this promotion. It's a health promotion project under the World Bank. So we can increase, local participation through those community can participate, and you can get that money which can be used for solid waste management in the areas where we're staying. I think that is something that is worth noting. So we'll be running another advert. Be on the lookout between January and February. We'll be looking out again for more people to participate. You get equal amount. So for every year, we'll be running that. We have got a category. The highest will get about 1.5 million. Then it comes to about 1 million. Then the last is 500,000 US dollars. So let's look out for that. Just come up with a very good project proposal. It will be evaluated by experts, so it has to be a good job. It was a little bit disappointing. The last bidders, the documents, most of them, even people who were supposed to qualify for this fund would not qualify. World Bank, they are so strict when it comes to this. So as we do this project, let's just make sure we bring out documents that meet the World Bank standard, and the monies will be there for community participation. And then issues of improved solid waste management. For me, the hope is not lost for Zambia. Just like Doc was saying, I've seen countries like Turkey. Turkey in 2002 was more dirtier than Lusaka is today. Go to Turkey today, the story has changed. What has helped? It's not only the change of the mindset. Like Doc was saying, even the educated have not changed a mindset. What is key is taking responsibility. Environmental management is not about Zema, it's not about local authority. It's about me, Madam Chola, my brother, they are from our household. That's where issue starts from. Some point, I was treated badly by ordinary citizens. In fact, that's not even treatment badly. I've learned a lot from it. In Botswana, I was coming from South Africa a long time ago in 2000 something. The citizens, I gave them a lift from Francistown coming to Kasati. On the way, it was normal for me. By that time, I had not even joined Zema. It was normal to throw things through the window. I was an educated person, but I didn't even mind about it. It was a normal practice in Zambia, throwing things. I just threw a tin in the bush. There's some place called Dugwi, in the bush. For me, it could, but I sensed something within the car. There were these 3 ladies that I gave a lift. We used to talk before them. The moment I just did, there was silence in court, in the car. I tried to talk to them, to cut the long short. We reached the police 200 kilometers away from that place. They just moved out of my car and reported me to the police. This Mkwerekwere was littering. We have got laws in place. Littering is an offense in Zambia which attracts a penalty, 1,500, Honorable Council. You see somebody throwing, you just report them to Zema. They can be charged as long as you have got evidence. This person threw this. How many people have we stopped throwing things through the bus? You go and stop. Please, can we go and pick that waste? This is what is going to change our country. It should start with our responsibility. Let every one of us take responsibility. You see your friend, your neighbor, like Doc was saying, watch your neighbor. Let's see what our neighbor is doing. Your neighbor throws something, you just look at it. How are we going to change the country if we're going to go that way? So it starts with all of us. Our Environmental Management Act Section 5, it talks about duty to report. How many people report when you see an environmental nuisance? EPR. I may wish to acknowledge that EPR has not done well as intended. The reasons are there. Like Doc was saying, EPR can finance a lot of environmental projects such as solid waste management. It is a very, very effective tool. But when the EPR was done, there were other things which are critical, which has made the EPR to stand still. Among them, there is a creation of a fund. Coca-Cola Beverages, we have been with them on this. Trade Kings, my brother were mentioning they are the culprit. We have gotten all these big companies, ShopRite. The monies that we can realize from ShopRite through EPR, it's monies that I can tell you that it's monies that you not even believe that we can be getting from that plastic bag which they sell every day. ShopRite are willing to start putting the money, but where the problem was when the EPR was created, we forgot about putting now the guidelines on how the Environmental Pollution Fund should be operationalized. So now, where the question is, who collects the money? Because ZEMA does not have the mandate to collect that money. We have not been given that mandate. So now, we are working now in reverse to look at how now do we finalize the issue of the EPR. Because EPR looks at 3 ways of a company extending the responsibility. Mr. Simpson, I'll now tell you why a producer should do that. I'll tell you why a producer should extend the responsibility. According to the law, it says EPR starts post-consumer. When the bottle is full of water, there is no extended responsibility. The moment the water is consumed, that empty bottle now becomes a responsibility of Coca-Cola Beverages. So how do Coca-Cola Beverages now realize this EPR? Coca-Cola Beverages have got 3 ways of doing it. Number 1 is to put a fund into the EPF. They can say, ZEMA, we don't have time to start looking for waste. Here is the money. There will be ways of calculating how much a company should put in monetary terms. Coca-Cola will say, okay, for us, we can't manage going to look for waste in Kanyama. Here is the money in the fund. The money now, the solid waste company. These are monies that can go to the solid waste company now to improve the collection. If Coca-Cola says, no, we'll do it ourselves, physically they can go and picking. They can subcontract companies, they can subcontract students, they can do whatsoever, we don't mind. They can do it physically. The other way is by them entering into contract with another company. The good example, they can enter into a contract with the National Solid Waste Company. Say, National Solid Waste Company, for us we can't manage this, here is the money. So can we do that? So the challenge with the EPR has been, how do we operationalize it? The law is there. It is talking recycling, treatment, and all those good stuff. But the issue is, how do we collect this money from EPR? ShopRite, they are saying, even up to now, you go to the general manager, we get into meetings every time. You go to Coca-Cola, they have been willing. You see, EPR will even address incentives, which Mr. Evans was talking about. You know, incentives comes on clean waste. You take a clean waste, because a clean waste will not attract further, costs like treatment and the like. Clean waste attracts an incentive. I can go with a clean bottle and say, colleagues, here is a clean bottle, can I have something? Where does that money come from? From the EPR. So the EPR can answer all of these of our issues. The last one is EPR can also take, we've been having, talks with electronic companies like Samsung, I mentioned them. Incentives can come. This is a phone, 2021 model. Incentives can come, I should go to Samsung and say, I need a new phone, can you take the old one? See how you dispose it off. Let me have a new one, and I put something on top. That is also EPR. But All those companies like Samsung who are willing to do all those things, how do we operationalize it when we don't even have a fund created? So EPR now, what we are working on now is the creation of the fund. Very soon you will see some regulations come up just specifically for the fund. How are we going? Because the fund is what EPR is surrounded on. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very, very much. I was almost 40, and you know why I like 40 is people sympathize with you in every moment. But when they go, that's where the story now starts. It becomes entertainment for life. You saw how that thing fell with the legs. Sandra, how are we doing with time? How many minutes? We are supposed to close our panel discussion, so we are a bit over time. Sorry for that. But there is still an outstanding question on timelines that has not been answered from Chilanga. Perhaps you can just deal with that question. Then there was a request that Massive Dynamics presents their app. I don't know how the members feel. Hello? 3 seconds? 30 seconds? 30 seconds, a pitch, 30 seconds pitch? Okay, 30 seconds pitch, a 30 seconds video. Yeah, 30 seconds, is it fine? Okay, so maybe Chilanga just deal with the timelines. We do the 30 seconds video, and then we go back to the.
Okay, so thank you so much. I think there were two questions. There was a question on the tonnage. So I did mention that at the end of 2021, we did dispose of 13,000 tons. So that's over a period of 1 year. Currently, we are disposing of about 1,200 tons monthly. We anticipate that this is going to double with the coming in of the pre-processing plant. I'm happy to be on the same panel with Zema. So in terms of timelines, we have received, what do we call it, a no objection letter from Zema, and we are preparing payments, which will be done next week. As soon as that is done, I believe inspections and final go-ahead will be given. Should we receive that by end of probably this December, the timelines are that we should have this plant installed by June of 2023. Moderator, just allow me just to talk about the awareness campaign that we are doing as Chilanga Cement in support of all the many programs that are happening. As Chilanga Cement early this year, we launched what we call sorting of waste on site, where we have labeled all our bins and clearly indicated that this should just be for paper and plastic, and this should be for other waste. And I must say that even where you consider someone to be learned and they can read, it's amazing how even when it's clearly stated plastic and paper, how others will go and just throw in other waste. But over time, there has been that sensitization. Why are we doing this? It's speaking to what everyone else has been saying, that this needs to come from the source, from our homes. So if everyone at Chilanga Cement can do that, and every other private company that is a bigger contributor to employment in this nation does that, imagine how much waste would be intercepting at source before it goes to the landfills. So I thought I should mention, because right now we are going to embark on another campaign where we are asking all employees to sort their waste from home, and the one who brings the most goes away with an incentive. So again, it's because we realize that awareness is important and critical. So I thought I just should mention that, Director.
Okay. Thank you very much. I think we've come to end of a very, very exciting discussion. I think we've really discussed a broad swathe of elements from government policy to the importance of regulation, you know, how we can deploy EPR in a more creative manner, leveraging technology to tackle the problem. We've re-emphasized the role of sensitization, but I want to add that Dr. Kachikoti mentioned that we have a robust decentralization process. Are we missing an opportunity here when we sort of go on these sensitization campaigns that don't leverage the potential that the WDCs have to reach the individual person at a section? Is there scope for us to invest in strengthening these structures to help us sensitize, to help us with regulation, to help us with thinking? Because these people at community level, they think from their lived experience. And lived experience as a way of making you innovative, making you understand the problem, and customizing solutions to what will work in that particular context. So the question I'm leaving all of us, are we missing an opportunity at that level to leverage everything that we're doing to make a greater impact? Before I ask all of us to give ourselves a big round of applause, let's go to the 30 seconds pitch from
the Neighborhood Talks.
This evening, as we have this solid waste management discussion forum, I know that for most of us that are here, it is something that is of great importance, both to our works but also as individuals. And therefore, we are really looking forward to a great time. And obviously, we're looking forward to us coming up with ways in which we can try and manage the challenges that our city is facing with regards to solid waste management, obviously, which also has an impact on water security. I will quickly would like to just get a quick feel of who's here. Just quick introductions. My name is Chris Lukwanda from Nwasco, and we'll quickly just do an introduction. I can see we are not so many, so I'm sure under 5 minutes we should be able to do that. We can start from this end. Just tell us where you're coming from. Name and where you're coming from.
Thank you. Hello everyone. I'm Mandamu Mayowe. I'm from Nwasco.
Good evening everyone. My name is Paula Budima. I'm also from Nwasco.
Good evening everyone. Jason Winde, WDC Chairperson.
Good evening. My name is Consilio Pili, Councillor for John Howard Ward and Tawama constituency.
Good evening. Councillor Lassinglo from Nanwa Tetet.
Good evening, everyone. Manuel Chambo, WDC Chair, Munali Ward.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Nelson Kapula, Marketing Manager, Zamco.
Hello everybody, Stuart Simpson, Banzi Bali.
Good evening, my name is Kachikoti Ban from the Lusaka City Council.
My name is Natasha Ndasha from Chilanga Cement.
Good evening, my name is Claire Chwesapunda. I'm also from Chilanga Cement.
Good evening. My name is Bernard Miti. I work with the Zambia WASH Advocacy Network.
Good evening. Engineer Evans Tembo is my name. I'm from KZ.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Makongo Masho.
I work with Sunshine Roads and
Good evening. I'm behind here. I'm David Nondemwanga. I'm from GIZ.
Anybody else who hasn't introduced themselves? Our colleagues that have just walked in, just introduce yourself, tell us your name and where you come from.
I'm Secure Moyo from Massive Dynamics.
From what?
Massive Dynamics.
I'm Chimbia Nawingwa from Massive Dynamics.
Right, thank you so much. So as we can see, we have quite a dynamic audience. I think most of the institutions that we have invited and expecting to be here are here. And so we are hoping that indeed we are going to have an interactive evening. Please feel free to talk, feel free to participate in the activities this evening. I know that we're supposed to be joined by the TC, the Lusaka City Council. However, it's being represented by the Knowledge and Advocacy Chairperson of Lucy, Mr. Kachikoti, who I will shortly invite to just welcome all of us to this evening. Mr. Kachikoti. Let's just make it clear that
thank you. I needed that clap. Good evening, distinguished ladies and gentlemen. I think, hi, Amanda. I'm not the town clerk. I'm not the town. So let me just recognize the presence of councillors, Councillor Piri and Councillor Milupi, who are part of the board members of the Lusaka City Council, in this case, councillors. The town clerk has delegated to Director of Public Health, who should be joining us. But I carry the message of first appreciating the role that our partners play in protecting water in the city of Lusaka, as regards also sanitation. As founding members of the Lucy network, we remain committed to ensure that we galvanize support as much as we can for the water and sanitation sector in this city. As you may be aware, Lusaka City Council and indeed local authorities carry the constitutional mandate to protect public health and also ensure that we provide safe water through our utility company, which is the Lusaka Water and Sanitation Company. So please feel free. We need to galvanize as much as we can in terms of ideas, contemporary ideas, cutting-edge solutions that will ensure that almost 3 million Zambians here in the city receive potable water. We have not forgotten our past in terms of outbreak of diseases. We have not forgotten our past in terms of the many Zambians that we lost due to cholera outbreak. So as we forge ahead into the new year, as we forge ahead into our tap water, as we don't know what may come tomorrow, we need to ensure that we accommodate as much as possible stakeholders out there that will help us deliver this mandate for the people of Zambia who live in Lusaka. So thank you very much. You're welcome. Let's interact and debate and also network as we support the Lucy network. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Kachikoti, for those remarks. We all know why we're here. Can I just ask anyone to tell us why we're here? Anybody? I'm sure we got these letters and anyone. Just briefly, in a sentence, why we're here. Mind is worried. It's our point. Yes, Mr. Bennett.
Yeah, I think we are here to discuss on issues to do with solid waste management. How are we managing it? So we want to find out what can we do and what are the solutions out of the management of the solid waste.
Okay. Thank you very much for that. Any other person while we're here? maybe your expectation for the evening. I quickly want to transition into, there's some drinks waiting for us and get into the cocktail. So quickly want to transition into that. Any other person? Any expectation for the evening?
Yeah, maybe from me, my expectation is to see an action plan that can lead to something actionable, not just lighting up 1, 2, 3 things that needs to be done and then we'll keep quiet about it. So something that can tangibly be done for the future.
Right. Okay. Thank you so much. Anybody else? That is well noted. An action plan, something that will be tangible. From here, come up with an action plan for the future. Anybody else? Just me. Can I point at you from your side? What's your expectation from the discussion?
Well, I think it's, of course, we are focusing on issues of solid waste, but there are a lot of interlinkages between poor management of solid waste with other aspects like water, sanitation. So my expectation is to look at the issue of solid waste in a holistic manner, such that as we deal with that challenge, we'll also be resolving many other challenges that we are faced with because of the issue of solid waste.
Okay, so we can see that really solid waste is actually a big issue. And I'm sure most of you can agree with me that not one single entity or organization can actually deal with the challenge that we have with regards to the issue of solid waste, as well as the issue of water security, which obviously can be connected in some way, because solid waste does have quite some impact, especially the indiscriminate disposal of solid waste has quite some impact on our environment. At this point, I will invite David, who is going to help us with the panel discussion. He will be our moderator for the evening, and I hope all our panelists are here. On our panel this evening, we have obviously Lusaka City Council, which is represented by the Assistant Director. So I will ask the panelists to come as we progress into our second phase, which is the panel discussion itself. So as I invite our panelists, I'll just ask you to come and take your position. I'll also ask our moderator for the evening later to also just step forward. So we have Lusaka